Have you ever felt like your mind is your worst enemy? Like there's a storm raging inside your head that never stops. No matter how hard you try to calm it, you wake up exhausted from thoughts you can't control. Yesterday's mistakes haunt you. Tomorrow's fears suffocate you. And today you're barely surviving, trapped between a past you can't change and a future you can't predict. If you've ever felt imprisoned by your own thoughts, drowning in worries that steal your peace and rob you of sleep, then Kenji's journey is your journey. And what a wise teacher shows him with a simple vessel of water might be the answer you've been desperately searching for. In a quiet fishing village where the sea met the sky, there lived a young man named Kenji. He was 24 years old, but his shoulders carried the weight of someone much older. Every morning, Kenji would wake before dawn with his mind already racing. Thoughts crashed against each other like waves during a storm. Memories of yesterday mixed with fears about tomorrow, creating an endless noise inside his head that gave him no rest. Kenji worked as a fisherman, just like his father and grandfather before him. But even as his hands worked with the nets and baskets, his mind wandered far away. He thought about mistakes he had made years ago. He worried about things that might never happen. His chest felt heavy all the time, as if invisible ropes were tied around it, pulling tighter each day. Sleep became a stranger to him. Even his laughter, which once came so easily, had disappeared like morning mist. The other villagers noticed the change in him. They saw how his eyes had lost their light, how he walked with his head down, how he barely spoke anymore. His grandmother especially worried about him. She had raised him after his parents passed away, and seeing him suffer broke her heart. One evening, as the sun painted the water gold and orange, his grandmother sat beside him on the shore. She placed her wrinkled hand on his and said, "My child, I know your heart is troubled. There is someone who might help you. Far beyond those mountains, in a valley hidden from the world, lives a teacher. Many years ago, he was a renowned scholar in the capital city. He understood the human mind better than anyone, but he grew tired of the noise and chaos, so he left everything behind and now lives simply, close to the earth and sky. Sometimes, he shares his wisdom with those who seek it." Kenji looked at his grandmother's kind face and felt a small spark of hope flicker in his chest. "Do you think he could help me?" he asked quietly. "I believe he could," she replied, squeezing his hand gently. "But you must go to him. The journey is long and difficult, but some answers can only be found when we search for them." The next morning, Kenji prepared for his journey. He filled his baskets with simple provisions and said goodbye to his grandmother. She kissed his forehead and whispered, "Remember, my child, sometimes we must travel far to discover what was always within us." The journey took many days. Kenji walked through thick forests where sunlight barely touched the ground. He climbed steep mountain paths where the wind howled like a wounded animal. He crossed rushing streams where cold water soaked his feet. His body grew tired, but something inside kept him moving forward. Perhaps it was hope, or perhaps it was desperation, but he knew he had to continue. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Kenji arrived at a small valley nestled between two great mountains. The air there felt different, cleaner somehow, as if even the wind carried peace within it. He saw a modest dwelling made of wood and stone, with smoke rising gently from its chimney. Outside, sitting on a smooth rock, was an elderly man with silver hair and a face that seemed to hold both great wisdom and great kindness. Kenji approached carefully, bowing respectfully. "Master," he said, his voice cracking with emotion, "I have traveled far to find you. My mind gives me no peace. It is like an ocean that never calms, always churning, always pulling me under. Cannot find rest. I have forgotten how to be happy. Please, if you have any wisdom to share, I am desperate to learn." The old teacher opened his eyes slowly and looked at Kenji with a gentle gaze. He studied the young man for a long moment, seeing not just his tired face but the storm raging inside him. Then, without speaking, he stood up and gestured for Kenji to follow. They walked to a small courtyard behind the house where a clear spring bubbled up from the earth. The teacher picked up a simple clay vessel and filled it completely with water from the spring. The vessel was filled to the very brim, so full that the water formed a perfect dome at the top, held there only by surface tension. Even the slightest movement would cause it to overflow. The teacher carefully handed the vessel to Kenji and said, "I want you to carry this through the valley to the great oak tree at the far end, then return here. But you must not spill a single drop, not even the smallest amount. Can you do this?" Kenji looked at the impossibly full vessel in his hands, then at the uneven path that stretched before him. He saw rocks, tree roots, slopes going up and down. Doubt filled his mind, but he had come so far. He nodded and said, "I will try my best, master." "Don't try," the teacher said softly. "Simply do." Kenji began walking. At first, every step felt dangerous. His hands trembled slightly, and he could see tiny ripples forming on the water's surface. He took a deep breath and forced himself to move more slowly, more deliberately. The path wound through the valley, sometimes level, sometimes tilted. As he walked, the world around him seemed to fade away. He didn't notice the birds singing in the branches above. He didn't hear the rustling of leaves in the breeze. He didn't see the wildflowers blooming along the path or the butterflies dancing between them. His entire being was focused on one thing and one thing only, the water in the vessel he carried. Each step was measured, each breath controlled. His mind, which had been a storm just moments before, became perfectly still. There was no room for worries about tomorrow or regrets about yesterday. There was only this moment, this step, this breath. The journey to the great oak tree seemed both endless and instant. When Kenji finally reached it, he stood there for a moment, marveling at its ancient branches reaching toward the sky. Then, with the same careful attention, he began the journey back. Step by step, breath by breath, he returned to where the teacher waited. When Kenji stood before the teacher again, his face glowing with concentration and effort, he lowered the vessel carefully and said, "Master, I did it. I didn't spill any water." The old teacher's eyes crinkled with a warm smile. "Indeed, you did well. But tell me, young man, as you walked through the valley, did you see the blue jay building her nest in the pine tree? Did you notice the family of deer drinking from the stream? Did you smell the jasmine flowers blooming near the path?" Kenji's expression changed to surprise, then confusion. "No, master," he admitted. "I saw nothing. I heard nothing. I was completely focused on the water." The teacher nodded knowingly and stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on Kenji's shoulder. "And tell me, in those moments when your entire attention was on the vessel in your hands, when you were completely present with each step you took, how did your mind feel?" Kenji paused, reflecting on the experience. His eyes widened as realization dawned. "It was quiet," he said softly. "For the first time in so long, my mind was completely quiet. I wasn't thinking about anything else. I wasn't worried or sad. I was just here." "Yes," the teacher said, his voice warm with understanding. "You have discovered the answer you came seeking. Your mind became peaceful not because the thoughts disappeared, but because you gave it something real to hold onto in this present moment. When we live fully here and now, there is no space left for the ghosts of yesterday or the shadows of tomorrow. Peace is not something we must search for in distant places. It lives right here in this breath, in this moment, waiting for us to return to it. Tears formed in Kenji's eyes as the truth of these words settled into his heart. The teacher continued, "Your mind is like that vessel. When you fill it completely with presence, with attention to what is happening right now, there is no room for anything else to spill in. This is the secret that has always been within you." Kenji bowed deeply, gratitude flooding through him. "Thank you, Master. I understand now. I have been living everywhere except where I actually am." As the sun began to set, painting the valley in shades of amber and rose, Kenji prepared to return home. But he was not the same troubled young man who had arrived. Something fundamental had shifted inside him. He had learned that peace is not a destination but a practice, not something to achieve but something to return to, again and again, in each present moment. The journey home felt different. Though his feet walked the same paths, his mind traveled a new road. And when he finally returned to his village by the sea, his grandmother saw immediately that the light had returned to his eyes. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need this message today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories that can change the way you see your life. Thank you for spending this time with us. Until our next story, remember to stay present, stay peaceful, and most importantly, stay here now. See you soon.